Hey everyone, Terry at Lithos and Lasers again, and I'm going to show you kind of an advanced technique today. This is for when you have you cut something and it didn't cut all the way through, and you're looking at your $20 piece of walnut and thinking you got to throw it away because it didn't cut through. So this is going to be how to salvage that. This isn't like a daily technique. This is, you bought a whole bunch of wood. It's got glue spots and stuff, and you want to try to get the use out of it rather than just throw it away. So there's that, where you're going to try to salvage using this wood. And then there's the other case where you cut something, you realized it didn't cut all the way through. You did a little bit of prep work so that this technique is going to work for you. And then we're going to salvage that piece of wood. So kind of a prerequisite that I always recommend doing, and that is putting your wood in a position that is duplicatable, reproducible. So you could go all the way up against the side. I just have two little pegs, two spots in. So I'm going to put those there. Then I'm going to peg it down in a consistent location, right? So theoretically, if I did a cut and I had everything like this, right? This side is reproducible. This position is reproducible. I did my cut. I pulled it out. I turned it over, and oh crap, it didn't cut through. You should be able to put it back in. Put it back exactly where it was. When you go back to your Glowforge to run another pass, and you could just run another pass right now as is, ignore the camera. So the camera, every time you close and open the lid, and every time you focus, it's gonna say that you're slightly off. And so the key there is knowing that you're smarter than the camera. So knowing that, I know that it says I moved over a little bit, but I know that I didn't. So shut up camera, you're stupid. And because what happens is your camera shows your stuff is off. You adjust your camera image and your design to be lined up again, and then you cut, and now you're off, and you would have been fine. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go cut a monogram. I'm gonna cut it with settings that are not gonna work. And then I'm going to show you how to recover that. Okay, so the first part of this is pre-prep. So you know that your wood is crap. You know that there's a possibility that it's not going to cut great, and that you might have to run another pass from the back. So going into it, you know that. So here's the thing. Let's pretend that this is your piece of wood and there's your item, right? When you go to flip this over to do your second side, it's not gonna be in the same place, right? So you see how that just moved over? That's gonna be a problem when you go to do your second cut. So you need to make sure that you have an outer shape bigger than this one, and that it's centered, your design is centered on that, so that when you mirror it, they're gonna be identical. So I'm just gonna grab this guy. That's 8 by 8 pretty much. So I'm just gonna go 8.25. I'm gonna align these two things together. Gotta move this because this is not grouped. All right. So we're gonna line this. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut this outer shape with stronger settings than I cut the inner shape. So I know this part here is gonna cut. And so what's gonna happen is when we go to flip this and we reflect it, our item stayed exactly in the same position on our wood. And so we don't have to worry. Like I say, if this was just your design and you went into the Glowforge UI and you said, mirror your item and flip your wood, your whole thing is going to shift and it's not going to work for you. So I'm going to export this file. I work pretty much exclusively in PDF for the most part. And now we're going to go to the Glowforge. Going to go to a new design. I've already got our piece of wood out there. So let's go. Now, I don't actually know. I know that I hate this wood. I know that I hated it so much I used it as shelf dividers at one point because it just didn't cut. So this is going to be a good test for us. But I'm going to do some manual settings and I'm going to tell it, I'm going to do 140 full for our design. And then to make sure that we can cut out this outer shape, I'm gonna make sure that that can cut out, right? So I'm gonna do 120 full. And if for some reason that doesn't look like it came out, I'll just run a second pass on that. My settings didn't stick. There we go. And then this stuff, I'm just gonna score it. Like this is a throwaway project just to show you how it works. But I'm gonna set focus on our material. When you come back to do your second pass, you're just gonna select it and hit mirror. Flip horizontal right there, boom, boom. Nothing moved. The only downside here is that you have to have premium, Glowforge Premium in order to do this. I'll show you another way. Again, this is all kind of advanced, so everything I do to show you another workaround just adds to the complication. But we're set. We're gonna go cut this. You just noticed my items are in the wrong, there we go. So I'm gonna hit cancel. We're gonna score this, doesn't matter. We're gonna cut this, and then we're gonna cut our outer shape at a setting that we know works. And in fact, just to make sure that we fail, I'm gonna speed this up just a little bit. I'm not gonna record the whole 16-minute cut. I'll just start it and stop it and show you how to proceed. All right, so I will see you out there at the Glowforge. All right, so we're just gonna start this cut, and then we're gonna check on it when it's done and make sure that our outer shape comes clean, comes out, and then we'll go mirror it in the Glowforge UI and do our second cut. Okay, so our cut is done, and you might say, well, hey, you use stronger settings out here to make sure it cut through. Why didn't you just use those settings here? And the answer is maybe those were too slow. Maybe those make too much char or something. And then also remember, this is kind of a life-saving technique, right? So we're trying to salvage this thing that didn't cut. So we've already used settings that didn't work. So now we're coming back and using stronger settings to make sure it does. The next thing is, why didn't I make a circle around this circle? And the answer is, when you go to flip this, if this was just a circle, it could be twisted a little bit, and that's gonna matter. So if you use something like a square or a rectangle, then they're only gonna go back in one way. So I wanted this cut to suck. I can see that it kind of, a lot of it did cut out. But let's see if we succeeded in having anything suck. So I'm just gonna clean up some of this real quick. And so most of our job cut, but look up here. That didn't cut. We got some stuff right here in the middle that didn't cut, probably glue pockets or something. And so that's what we're gonna try to fix. So we don't need to get all the stuff out. We just want to put this back in, right? We didn't move our outer board, even though with these points we should be able to. We didn't. We just flipped this over. And so it did a pretty good job. So when we go to do the second cut, I'm gonna speed it up a little bit. Because a lot of this, it really doesn't need to go over again. A lot of this would have poked out if I would have tried, but so this area is a problem. This area is a problem. There might be some others like that right there. Normally you'd be hitting that with an X-Acto knife or something and trying to get it out. So we're gonna go set up our second cut now. Okay, so we are back at the Glowforge. I'm going to acknowledge that our print is done. All I need to do right now is mirror this. I'm gonna set focus. That is just to measure the wood. That is not to align anything. Set focus can help with alignment. That's not its job. The job of set focus is to measure the wood distance from the tip of the laser beam. And so you're gonna notice when we're done here, it's probably gonna show that we're off. And we're not off. So let's see. It's currently saying that we're pretty good. So my set focus worked pretty decent, although that's your mileage will vary, and it will usually not look that good. You can see over here, right? See where this line's at and see where it says my cut is at, and you would be very tempted to then use your arrows and to fix this, right? Don't fix it. So I don't have to do my score anymore on the back. I don't have to do my outer cut this time because we've already cut that out. So all I'm doing is my inner, and it's mostly good. So I'm gonna bump it up to 180 just to finish off those tiny little bits of area that are mostly cut through. So, and then when I come back after this is done, I'm going to show you what you would do if you hadn't made this square first, and if you didn't have Glowforge Premium to do your mirror. Okay, so back out to the Glowforge. All right, we're going to start our second pass. We didn't realign anything. We're just trying to pick up some areas that didn't cut. Normally I also mask my wood. This I didn't mask this because it's crap. I'm gonna throw it away when I'm done. I think I might need to clean my air assist again. Although it's surprising because I haven't used my Glowforge that much recently since I got my big laser. But we're gonna let this run and I'll catch you here at the end or in the middle. Now, something to think about when you're doing your second pass is any flashback that you get that's like on the back of this wood here, right? You get this flashback here. You could get some flashback on the front of your wood. So it's another reason to mask it. Look like we're misaligned. Nope. Just trying to catch it doing that up there at the top. So that would have been hard to trace with an X-Acto since there wasn't even any lines on the back to follow. That was another one of our problem spots that it's working on right now. All right, so our second pass is done. That's looking pretty promising, huh? So, our item is cut out, even out of the crappy wood with voids and glue spots. I would have masked it. I would have maybe masked it if I didn't the first time when I knew I was going to do a second cut. Might have masked the front before I dropped it in there again. But as you can see, this did not cut out the first time, and we were able to flip the wood, flip our design, do a second pass, even a little bit faster pass, and salvage this product. So the next thing is, how could we do this if we didn't have Glowforge Premium? So I'm just going to set this back in there, and I'm going to show you. You see that? See how we can rotate? If our outer shape was like that, you could have put it back in there just ever so slightly off, and none of those cuts are going to line up. So that is why we use a shape that can't be rotated like that. Okay, so we are going to pretend now that we didn't do any prep. We just cut out our main design of this circle tree. We went out there, we didn't lift the whole piece of wood out. We just used our fingernails or a little pick or something and tried to pull out pieces, and realized at that point that it's not free. So I'm going to set focus, as always, and then I'm going to show you what you would do if you didn't have Glowforge Premium. So this outer shape doesn't count right now, so we're going to pretend that it doesn't exist, and we're going to make it from scratch out there. Are we going to? No, we're not, because you can't make a square or a rectangle or nothing without Premium. So we're going to pretend that this was your design. We made the rectangle around your design after the fact. And then we're going to mirror our design, because again, you can't do that in Glowforge without having premium either. So here is our new version with a rectangle around it. So we're going to export this guy. We're going to go back to our Glowforge UI. And so we're going to import our new file. Why are we not importing? There it goes. Oops, wrong spot. All right. Let me figure out where our file went. All right, I found it. So what people don't know is that you can align stuff in the Glowforge with precision without having premium. So the way we're going to do that is, I want to see if I can delete this outer rectangle. Yeah. So that's what you would normally have. And so we're going to take our new item. We're going to find out our Y position of this. And we're going to paste that here. Now we grab the direct center of that shape. This is the top center, the bottom center, etc. We're grabbing the center. Okay? So we put in that measurement. These two things are on the same plane now. So next, I want to grab the X coordinates. We're going to paste those in. So now we are directly on top of our old design. We can turn off our old one. You could actually even delete that once you mark down what its coordinates were. So what you would do now is, for now you would ignore this mirrored cut, and you would ignore our hearts and stuff, right? And you're going to cut out this outer shape so you can go flip your wood. So we wanted to put in some settings that we knew worked. Whatever we had before, 150 full didn't, so we would put in 120 full. And everything else is set to ignore. And we would go cut this. And you see how the camera is all messed up, and it says that we're not lined up at all. It's lying. And I focus it one more time, but at least we're measuring the distance of the wood. We're not aligning with the camera. We're not aligning anything. So, do you want me to prove it? You see how jacked up our view is right now, right? If this cuts the way it says it is, we're going to start cutting into all of this. It's just messed up, which is why you don't trust the camera. So let's go prove it. In fact, yeah, let's go prove it. Looks like we're in the same spot. Where it was really messed up was on the right hand side. So when we get over there, proof will be in the pudding here. It's a jet engine. It's just because this is crop wood and we've already cut the material that it's trying to cut now. But do you see the point? We're cutting exactly the same spot that we told it to, even though the Glowforge camera said that we were way off. We weren't. So ignore the camera. Okay, so you just saw that even though our Glowforge camera said we were going to cut way over here, we didn't. So point was, now you've went out there, you've cut a rectangle around your shape, you went out there and you flipped the wood over so that we had this back view that had lines that weren't cut. So then you disable our outer cut, you set up your inner cut with some settings that are maybe a little bit same or a little bit faster than you used the first time that didn't work. So in my example, I was able to use 180 to complete my back cuts. Now, if your back cuts were worse than mine, then maybe you use the same settings you used and you're gonna get that much further onto the front side of your wood, or you speed it up or whatever. But what we used was your alignment tools here to grab the position of what we had and then put the position of our new file directly on top of it. So I'm gonna back up a couple steps, right? So in this case, what we can also do is we can grab a notepad or something. I'm gonna say the center of our Y is here. Can I get to notepad? Center of our X is there. And then I don't want to see this anymore, so I'm going to delete it. X is still on my clipboard, so I'm going to, dang it, I hit copy. And grab our Y. We're already at the right Y height from last time. Gonna grab my X. Just a little bit cleaner operation. You don't have to ignore the whole other job. But now you would be ready with your wood flipped to go out there and do your second cut. So again, a little complicated. Not something you're gonna do every day. But certainly if you used a really nice piece of wood, maybe your last piece of wood, and you got out there and found out that it didn't work, and your only other option was to throw it away, then this is how you can salvage it. If you did not want to do your shape in Illustrator and you had premium, so you were just left in that position, so you did your first cut. You did your first cut. It didn't cut out good. You have premium, so you have no problem coming in here and mirroring your design, but you still need that outer shape. You can make that in here. If you have this locked, then whatever number you put in one side is going to be reflected in the other, right? If you unlock it, then those are independent from each other. See that? So now let's say, well, now we have our rectangle. How are we going to get it around our shape so that we can go cut that out? Well, We're going to grab our Y. Grab our X. Paste our X. Paste our Y. And then assign some cut settings to that we know work, like 120 full worked. And then we would go, again, we would ignore everything except for that outer cut. We'd go cut that out. We'd flip it over. Then we would ignore our outer cut. And we would set up our new second pass with the settings that we wanted to try. So I hope you guys all learned something. If you did, like and subscribe to my channel. It really helps me. Otherwise, I have lots more tutorials coming, and keep your eye out. Thanks.